yeah, if you're able to join me on the YouTube stream as well, that would be greatly appreciated. So in fact, let me just make sure it's up and running before before I ask everyone to join me. I see, Dan, you're in there as well. Fantastic. Yeah, apologies for the lull, everyone. We're just making sure that the YouTube stream is up. There you are, Dan. And Dan, you've got your camera on. It's completely up to you whether you have it on or off.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm probably got an echo here.
Oh yeah, just. Oh, that's the other thing. How are we gonna? Yeah, if you've got a headset, that might work potentially. Thank you. So I'm delighted to say that FPL Hints Live is the first ever FPL account or FPL establishment to simultaneously stream live and space live. So we've done it, but I'm not going to hang up there. So I'm just going to make sure this works. I'll share my screen as well. So if anyone's in the spaces and thinking, what on earth is going on, you've got to hop onto the YouTube stream. Let me just make sure this works as well. There we go. We've got it up and running. Just going to click on your team as well.
Can you hear me, Ash?
I can hear you crystal clear, mate.
Okay, I think that's good.
Perfect. And yeah, let me add you to the stream on the YouTube as well. You've got your camera on at the moment. You want it on? Fine.
Yeah, that's cool. Put my Manchester United shirts up.
Oh, you got it on there. Perfect. Yeah, I'm not camera ready, unfortunately, at the moment. So I've got mine off at the moment. So but if anyone wants to see me, I went on the FPL Juice show about last week, so you can check me out there. So let me just have a look. I'm just loading up your team as well. You just see how everything looks. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, if anyone wants to hop onto the YouTube stream, the whole purpose of me streaming. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? That's strange. Oh, sorry. That's not right. The whole purpose of me streaming and doing spaces was that I wanted to be able to screen share in real time whilst talking to Dan as well. So Dan, I'm not sure if you caught that question. And when you're speaking, you can unmute the mic as well on spaces. How much does EO influence your decision making in FPL?
Yeah, so yeah, I think it does. Most people say they ignore it, but I mean, I tell people back in the day when I first started, I used to obviously EO sort of didn't exist, but I sort of got there by what I used to do is go on the FPL page, on the transfer page, and filter by transfers in for the round. So just look at the bandwagons. Basically, look who are those managers, the players that people are bringing in. And I guess those bandwagons, the EO will be going up. And I used to bring those players in. I didn't really know much more beyond that. I've never watched the matches too much, which is some people might not like, but I just don't have much time recently, the last few years with kids and whatnot. So yeah, I guess I'm more of an FPL fan than a football fan. It's a bit odd, but hopefully when the kids get a little bit older in a couple of years, I'll watch a lot more matches. But yeah, EO, I don't mind looking at EO, especially for captains. I mean, some of the calls we make, they're 50-50 decisions. I mean, so, and if one player's like this weekend, you could argue Salah, Jesus, Haaland are all excellent managers. You've got three-sided dice. But with Salah probably going to be the huge EO player, then I'm just going to go Salah. He probably marginally is the better call when you look at it. I know all the predicted point algorithms, they've got Salah at the top, but there's not that much in it. But yeah, as we've touched on, I don't like to take risks. If Salah has a hat trick and you haven't captained, then you're going to plummet down the ranks. But I mean, the opportunities are there for people to use it the opposite way. For those who go against Salah, I see Andy Martin in the chat. He no Salah, so yeah, great week for someone who goes without Salah to have a massive jump up the ranks, but it's just a risk I'm not willing to take. So yeah, I do use it. I don't mind using it.
Again, thanks for your honesty there. And it's interesting, you mentioned family as well. Like, I've got a young family myself. And like, from my perspective, I've come to a point in my life, right, where I don't want to deep dive into analytics. I don't want to think about too much about FPL, to be perfectly frank. I want to be in a situation where I want to do well in the game without overthinking. And I've come to this conclusion that, again, this is just my own personal opinion. The more I think about EO, the less I think about FPL, and in some respects, like that, it all syncs up in a nice way. It's not like I'm at a point where, for example, I can't watch every single match every week. I can't. I've got young kids. I've got stuff I have to do on a week-to-week basis over the weekend. So in my case, if I can't watch a match live, I'll just pop it on the radio in the background and listen to the match. And yeah, even the matches I do watch, it's got to a point where I don't know, just there's something in me that I'm not there, analyzing the entire match. I'm watching it. I'm literally watching it for my own fantasy assets, and obviously the enjoyment of the game as well. It's a big match, so I totally respect that as well. That that has an impact. There are others who are a lot younger than myself, and it's their career literally, and they can think about the game more. But I had a moment where it just got too much, really, that I was thinking, hold on, this is just a hobby. I shouldn't be thinking too much about it. And it's interesting, like I've had 2 top 5k finishes over the past 2 seasons. And I really have got to a point where I've thought far less about the game over the past 2 seasons than I did over the past 8 seasons before that. And I feel that overthinking in FPL is something that I feel that can be problematic, really. I guess it comes on to my next point as well, that do you feel that those who go against EO and hate EO, do you think that in effect they also are indirectly influenced by EO? Because then they're going to try and get players who aren't high in EO. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a valid way to play the game. If a good friend of mine who introduced me to FPL, he thinks FPL is generally boring. The template's so strong, and he likes to pick differential picks. Where's the fun in picking the players that everyone else has got? His view, and so yeah, he could use EO as we discussed the opposite way. Pick the low EO players. In fact, I had a quick look at Aronson before I brought him in. His EO is really low, but so and it did feel quite nice, to be honest. Picking a differential. I don't get many differentials in my squad with the way I play, but yeah, it is a good opportunity to identify differentials, players that will get you up the rank. It's just not my game.
And you mentioned something quite interesting there, Dan, the template. Sorry, I've just unmuted myself for the YouTube. Apologies. So I feel that the template gets a bad rep as well. We talk about EO, that gets a bad rep. And it kind of annoys me and it frustrates me that every time a mainstream FPL personality talks about EO, more often than not, it's in a negative way. I actually went on the FPL Juice show and I made a positive case for EO because I felt that people misunderstand it and they kind of take it for granted. But also on the question of the template as well, that I feel that people think, oh, that's a template. It's too hard to get. It's really surprising that, like, with certain so-called template players, if you look at their actual combinations, and anyone can check this out on livefpl.net under the combo section, it's remarkable to see actually there are some combination players among the template that are basically differentials. And even the so-called template team as well, let's just say we have a specific template team for a given game week. Yeah, perhaps the template's too expensive, you can't afford it. But if you've got like 8 or 9 of those players, it's really surprising to see how many people have almost 8 or 9 of those players. And like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that can we perceive, like, are we all seeing the template wrong? That are we seeing it in a way as, oh, it's rigid, it can't be broken, either you conform to it or you go against it? Do you also like recognize that even within the template you get these differential combos, and is that something that you try and leverage as well?
Yeah, definitely. One of the only ways I get an edge is to be as template as possible. Usually, I mean, I don't set out to pick the exact template, but if I'm being risk averse, which I do, and I pick the players statistically most likely to score the most points, that is usually the actual the actual template. And but as you say, there's not many people that got exactly the biggest template players across all 10, 9, 10, 11 players. So that's an edge in itself. That's how I found it over the years anyway. Um, yeah, so yeah, I don't mind it. People will say pick a couple of differentials. No, I don't mind. I guess Aronson, who I've got in, he's going to be a differential, but he's not going to be in the template, the full template 11. But yeah, you're right. The combinations, the LiveFPL combinations is yeah, it's a good tool that, and it's comforting to see. We think the Twitter community is big, and it is big, and it's getting bigger, but yeah, in the what, are we at 10 million yet? We're not quite at 10 million FPL teams. I say teams rather than managers. I'm sure a lot of people have got multiples, but yeah, I agree.
Okay, and I feel that like people think of the word risk averse, right, and they think that that's a negative thing. But like with me personally, I am very risk averse and I'm very pro template at the start. But do you feel that it's only natural in order to like make traction in the later game weeks that you become like you're willing to take more risks in the second half of the season, in particular during the double game weeks?
Yeah, double game weeks are key for engagement.
For as my
I assume like everyone listening, yeah, planning
defender,
around the double game
I'm going
weeks
with Cancelo, and despite Palace
is where we make our grounds. So yeah, if you've got if you ranked in the millions currently, it's no big deal. Come the double game weeks, game week 30 plus, we'll have some big rank games during the double game weeks. Yeah, but in terms of more differentials, the later we get, again, like yeah, it is good. It depending on where you are in your mini league or your rank and where you are and where you want to be at the end of the season, you can take educated risks. But personally, so if you take zero risks the whole season, statistically you're probably likely to finish even higher than if you take some risks. Like think about it, you've got like 5 game weeks to go and people taking risks left, right and centre. A lot of those risks aren't going to pay off. But if you don't take any risks, then you'll be above all those people that when a risk didn't pay off. But yeah, you're right. Second half of the season, last third probably is where we can start to take a little bit more risks.
Thank you. And I've got quite a few questions coming in through my DMs, Dan, and I can see some questions coming in through the YouTube stream as well, right? So actually, this is a question which, here we go. So there are some people that have asked me that they've never broken to the top 10K, as in like they've never finished within that, and that's what they're aspiring to do this season. What like piece of advice could you give them in order for them to reach that goal from an FPL perspective?
It's tricky because top 10K is tough. It's tough. I say that having 10, but recently it's getting more and more difficult because there's so much good information out there. The official FPL account does tweet out useful information. I know there was some jokes about there was some advice from the official FPL account to should we sell Trent. But generally, there's good information available. All you have to do is follow official FPL. You know, the big 3 accounts, Fix, Scout, Hub, and you know, it should help your game. But I think it's just planning. I'm always looking at the fixtures. Fixtures over form for me. Fixtures. Well, I'm hoping the fixture for Liverpool this weekend breeds some form for my 3 Liverpool players. So yeah, planning. Just plan your moves. I mean, most managers, less engaged managers, they won't plan. They'll just make the transfers week to week. But if you can plan, use a transfer planner, or you can just get a pen and paper out. I did that the other day. I've got transfer planners, but I got a pen and paper out just to plan my potential moves for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, I think it's just a planning. Look at the fixtures, identify times to hop off players, and potentially when to hop on certain players. You've got to be flexible though, because especially this early in the season, you're not going to know which players are hot or having a purple patch until it gets to that game week. So yeah, planning for me. Use a transfer planner or get a pen and paper out and use the fixture ticker.
Thanks for that, Dan. Dan, before I come on to my next question, I want to just share with everyone like where you're ranked within LiveFPL.net, and I can do that because I've got the screen share enabled. So I don't want to put you on the spot and embarrass you, but I am. So for those that are on the YouTube stream right now, you'll be seeing the LiveFPL.net Hall of Fame very shortly. There we go. So this is, according to Ragaboli, these are like the 1,000 best FPL managers, and this factors in past ranks as well as existing ranks. So there's Dan right now. He's ranked 12th with an 84.36 rating, and above him, Matt Corbidge. No idea who he is. Isn't on Twitter. Rutherford.
Matt, I think is Matt not on Twitter? I think he is. Oh. He's a fellow. We haven't spoke about it yet, but I'm part of the Fantasy Football Fix Elite 11.
Oh wow!
So we've got a feature there when he's part of that. He's my nemesis. Yeah, as you can see, he's one above me. So I'm coming to try and beat Matt this season.
Wow. So apologies, I wasn't aware he was on Twitter there. So that's nice to know. You've got a nemesis who's ranked just above you. Then we've got Cy Rutherford in 10th. No idea who that is. And then we've got Marku Ohala. I'm assuming that's I'm not going to make an assumption on where they're from. Yavuz Kabuk, who had a fantastic record until last season. I believe Yavuz is Dutch. Then you've got Mark Hurst in 7th, Sebastian Johnson in 6th, Sean Connors in 5th, Bruce Dow in 4th, Mario Sulenta in third place on the podium, Finn Solly 2nd, and first Fabio Borges with a score of 100. It's incredible. There's not, you're basically, if there was like an 11 of like the all-time best, you're basically the goalkeeper. It's like the reserve goalkeeper. Yeah, first on the bench. You're ready to be auto-subbed on when one of them hurts himself. So it's like I'm just looking at that. It's just like it's to contextualize that. That's so sensational, Dan. That you're really up there with great company.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. Yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, there's I think is it Fabio who hasn't had a rank outside the top 5k or something silly. I don't know how he does it. But,
yeah, like Fabio Borges, right? I don't know what he has for breakfast, but like I'm just scrolling across his rank now. So he finished like just 222nd last season, just under 2k the season before. Well, yeah, basically 1.8k, 1.9k, 95th, 671st, 1.1k, 4.6k. His worst ever rank was his first ever season, 17.9k. That's like,
just while we're on Fabio, one interesting point. I think he did an interview and he said that he favours making late transfers. Like he doesn't rate making early moves, which is interesting. I mean, the only 2 transfers I've made so far this season, I've gone early with my moves.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, he did caveat that maybe earlier in the season, he's open to earlier transfers during the week to catch price rises. But yeah, generally he favours more information. But I'm quite aggressive with transfers early on. I don't mind going early just to build some team value.
Fair enough. And actually, on the issue of transfers, Dan, I'm not sure if it's the algorithm, but it's almost like I feel compelled more so than previous seasons that to make an early transfer. I literally bought in Martinelli after that Brentford game when Rashford and United just tanked, right? And do you feel that in order to avoid the price changes, that early transfers are almost becoming like a norm?
Yeah, you do see so many. I think 1 million people bought in Rodrigo last week, and another million have bought him in this week. It's just the number of transfers is crazy, and I think there's a lot of wild cards around as well. I think I saw something like 10%. I played it last week. Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Early in the season, you've got calling them less engaged managers. They'll make quite a few transfers. They'll make early transfers. So yeah, I think it is important. I do use I take note of a couple of the price prediction websites. They always have it tough at the earlier in the season because, as I say, wild cards don't count towards the price changes, from what I understand, and so predicting the price changes is tricky. But you can sort of get a good idea of when a player's going up in price and or down in price, which is more important. I think you've got avoiding losing value is quite important, which is one reason I sold Neto. Although I did suffer one price drop on Neto and Robertson last week. But yeah, you're right.
And do you know what? For sometimes, you talk about the 50-50 calls, and for some people, missing out on that player due to 0.1, that can have a catastrophic week. Catastrophic week if they've missed out on an informed player. And I guess what I want to ask you, and I want to kind of bring mental health into this as well, because I feel that mental health isn't really talked openly within the FPL community. People think, oh, it's just a game, get over it, so to speak. But it is a game, but some people can be really deeply affected by it from what I've seen, especially on my timeline as well. And I guess my question to you is, how do you respond to a bad game week? Or what coping mechanisms do you have to hang in there during the course of the season?
Yeah, it is. I did a video with FPL Focal earlier in the season, and he asked me for 5 tips. And my last tip, which is probably the most important tip, is looking after your mental health. As you say, it is a game, but it's also our for a lot of us, it's our passion. We love playing the game. So when it doesn't go so well, it is disappointing, understandably. Just quickly, so yeah, making early transfers is I don't mind as well, because once you've done that, you can sort of switch off for a little bit, have a break from the game, because being mentally in the game all the time can be quite exhausting. But yeah, if I do have a bad game week, I think I like to throw myself into the next week. I can't impact what's gone. Did I make a bad decision? Probably not. I just got a bad outcome. So I'll look ahead, just dive into planning again, see what I can do to put it right going forward. But yeah, it used to affect me a lot. You have a bad Saturday, your player took out scores or something, and you just be in a bad mood. It happens. It shouldn't, but it does. So yeah, you take a day off, spend some time with family and friends. It's obvious, but it's worth stressing. Just get away from Twitter, perhaps. I'm always on Twitter, but it's good to. I say always on Twitter. I don't post a lot, but I'm always scrolling. I like to see what people's moves are, etc. I think the other thing is, we've talked about LiveFPL as you've got it on screen, and it is amazing. But following your live rank through a game week, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. So if it is affecting you negatively, just step away and don't look at your live rank during the game week. Just look at it at the end of the game week, perhaps. Yeah, just a few thoughts there.
No, thank you. I appreciate it, Dan. From my perspective, like I've said, I feel that trying to overthink the game, personally, it had a detrimental effect on me to the point where I just kind of gave up on the game, I think 3 seasons ago, right at the end, just I couldn't care less. And like I feel that we get so consumed with the game, right, that sometimes we neglect our own mental health and even our own personal health and physical health. Like one thing that I actually did, this was this was during the 2021 season when there was, it was still like pandemic was still rampant. I decided, you know what, the lunchtime kickoff game, I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to, obviously, deadline passes on a Saturday. I'm going to go for a run. Every Saturday, I just went for a run. Couldn't care less. I came back then from 3 p.m.s. And that really got me going on my, like, fitness journey. I then spent more time on that rather than worrying about a random game against a random club and, players that I don't even have in FPL as well. So I feel that, again, I don't want to like influence people on this in particular, but I feel that overthinking the game, spending too much time on the game, it can have a detrimental effect as well. And maybe it's because I'm on a different part of my journey compared to some other younger people who've just got into FPL Twitter and becoming an FPL addict. But I've found it beneficial. And like for me, like I compare my 2 ranks before and after when I had this red pill moment, especially in terms of how I play the game. And, you've described it in a very in tune way with how I play as well now. So yeah, it's a tough one. We're all going to have red arrows. We're all going to have green arrows. For me, it's about mitigating risk. How do I mitigate risk? I'm going to do Captain EO. How do I do my utmost to avoid a dark red arrow? Well, I'm going to conform to the template to an extent. Like, I feel there are tactics that can help along the way as well. But I will also say this to people, that if you feel that FPL is being over-consuming, you know what? Life before FPL. Like just go offline, log off Twitter if you have to. I feel that often on FPL Twitter, and I'm guilty of this, I'm putting my hand up with what I'm about to say, we amplify our successes and we hide our failures. And what does it create? It creates an echo chamber where the average on a week-by-week basis is like 120. And I don't like often talking about my failures. I often talk about, oh, this is how I've done. I nailed this, but I feel that doesn't help as well. When you see people having a really good score by a player that that they have and you don't, I feel that doesn't help as well. But I guess there's ways to mitigate that as well.
Yeah, just one thing to add from me. What I've done in the last couple of seasons is I'm in a few more group chats. So, if I'm having a bad week, likely there's 1 or 2 in the group chat having a bad week as well. So just finding some people that you get on with, and you can share the pain almost, but have a bit of banter about it. But yeah, the FPL community is great. I think the last couple of years have been really good for me. Chatting to new people about FPL. So yeah, that really helps.
Cool. Thanks for that input, Dan. Really appreciate it, and I hope that helps anyone who is looking for those tactics and coping mechanisms to just get by on a week-by-week basis. What we're going to do now, Dan, I'm going to basically play this multiplication game that I've created for FPL Hints Live. So you're welcome to, if you want to get some water or take a quick break, feel free to. So with this multiplication game, I'm going to put it on my stream here. So those who are on Spaces will probably hear a bit of like silence in the next few minutes. So this multiplication game, basically, I nominate a member of the FPL community every week to basically pick a defender, midfielder and striker from their previous game week, and how they score in the subsequent game week is their score multiplied. So Ryan from Fantasy Yamar was the first person nominated. He scored 60 points. Robert Ducky was second, and unfortunately, because Trent scored 0, he scored 0 as well. And this week we've got Eddie, better known as FPL Phillips. So I'm going to play this clip on the YouTube stream. Anyone who's listening to this on the YouTube stream, if you hear any tech issues, my apologies. But I'm going to play this now. So here are Eddie's picks. So just one moment. Add it to the stream and hit play. Sorry, just adding it to the stream now. Sorry for the silence. Hold on. It's just I've got the circle of death happening right now. The video will play. It's playing. There we go.
Cancelo to get forward and hopefully grab an attacking return as well for good measure. In midfield, I'm going for Mohamed Salah as the Reds look to bounce back from their loss at Old Trafford. He's top of all the predicted points metrics for Game Week 4, so definitely wanted to have the Egyptian King as one of my 3 picks. And then finally up front, as I've already used at Man City, I'm not going Haaland, I'm going with Gabriel Jesus as my striker. Hopefully he can replicate something along the lines of what he did in Game Week 2. 19 points or more would be much appreciated. But hopefully just 1 goal or 2 will do just fine as the Gunners face Fulham at home. But those are my 3 picks I'm going for. It's been a pleasure to be invited on the series. So thank you for having me on.
Great. So apologies for those that were just hanging on spaces there. So Eddie has picked Cancelo as his defender, Mohamed Salah as his midfielder, and Gabriel Jesus as his striker. So yeah, I'm just sharing that for those who didn't hear it on the YouTube stream. So whatever those players score in Game Week 4, I'll multiply the score. So let's just say they got 10 each. Eddie will have a score of 1,000, and I'll give a prize to the highest ranked player come the end of the season. So right now, Ryan from Fantasy Yomar leads with 60 points. So yeah, that's the score to beat at the moment, which it's more than achievable with the combinations that you can get. So Dan, we're back now. I'm just going to ask you the next question. Let me just add you to the stream. Oh, you're still in the stream. Can you hear me, Dan?
Hey Ash, yeah, that was a fun game. I'll see how Eddie does.
Yeah, no, it's the beauty of it is, right, you could pick the best 3 players, but like if one player has a bad game week, it wrecks your score. So
I'm looking forward to when somebody gets a negative points.
Wow. Yeah. Again, just like if they'll pick Emmanuel Dennis, and he's hopefully that will have a few negatives as well this season. So I'm just going back to the questions I've got in my DMs, Dan, and I've just had some feedback. Sorry, let me just get this here. So someone's asked me about team value. Like, how much do you value, pardon team value? Is that something that it comes into consideration at all? Like, I know back in the day, we would build, some players would build up team value early on so they could then cash it in and then buy other players who they wouldn't have been able to afford in the early part. Is that something that's worth consideration, or do you feel that team value isn't as important as it used to be?
I used to value it a lot. I think, you can build up to, I don't know what, 107, 108 million. I'm not sure. Come the double game weeks at the end of the season, you could build a really good, go 3 premiums. I think it was not last season, the season before I did that, and I had like Salah, Son, and Kane or something, and at the end of the season, and that worked really well. But I wonder if this season, perhaps it might not be with the pricing. The pricing's been talked about a lot, and how there's the prices came out lower than what we expected, which is why we've all got the template. Why the template's so strong, we've all got Trent, Cancelo, James, Lock in the back 3, two premium Salah and Haaland / Kane. So maybe, and then there's some budget enablers like we've got Andreas and Martinelli, of course. So I wonder if it's not going to be as important this season. But I'll still try to, as I mentioned, I've made a couple of early moves already, which have gained me 0.1, 0.2. So I will still keep a note. I will still keep an eye on it, because it could come in handy later in the season, where we've got, if it means we can have a third premium over other people who haven't got such a high team value. But yeah, one to keep an eye on.
That's great. No, thank you for that input, Dan. Greatly appreciated. I'm just going back to changing my screen share there as well. From my perspective, I feel that like team value used to be coveted quite a lot, and people would build up team value just so that they could cash in the players. But I just like you've alluded to there, with changes in the algorithm and whatnot, it doesn't seem to be as massively important. Obviously, the prices have fallen as well. And just to contextualize the fall in prices, Joe Hart 10 years ago was £7 million as a goalkeeper. Edison, who arguably is a far better goalkeeper, some could say Joe Hart won Golden Gloves back to back. He's 5.5 million. And I guess I want to ask this question as well: that do you feel that FPL have deliberately reduced prices across multiple positions just to allow us to fit in more of the better players and to keep people engaged early on and beyond?
I think they definitely have. And I mean, us engaged managers, we're probably we're a minority in the grand scheme of things, given we're approaching 10 million teams. So yeah, they've got a job, haven't they? They want as many people playing as possible, and if being able to pick a squad full of, an 11 full of top 4/top 6 teams, is the way to do it, and that's what they've gone with. I used to defenders back in the day, picking like Baines and Vidic and Terry for like 8 million, and Trent scores better than they did. So it's tricky. But yeah, I'm sure that was behind their thinking. But the prices, I'm sure they always are. But it always surprises me how many price falls we get at the start of the season. Like some players have dropped like 0.2, 0.3 easily, and so there's going to be some other cheap bargains out there in a few game weeks. I think it was Matt Doherty. I can't remember what he's dropped to now. Is it 4.8, 4.7 even? I'm not sure. But if he gets his place back, then he's going to be a bargain too. But yeah, we've just got to adapt and try and eke out other ways to gain an advantage over the field.
No. Fair play to that. And yeah, it's just one of those things. I kind of felt that they've reduced the prices for the reasons that were mentioned, but then like the drawback is they're not going to reduce. They're not going to slow down the price changes for obvious reasons as well. I've got a question, and this is more player specific. I was hoping to talk more about philosophy and strategy, but I guess I might as well just ask this right now, because I've got a fair few questions like this. Are there any players that are less than 20% that you don't own that interest you?
Oh yes, I was having a look at this. I think Gundogan's quite lowly owned still. I've seen a lot of people talking him up, because he's. Hang on, I'm on the FPL page. I'm just gonna double check that he's not.
Yeah,
no, he's only
less than 10%.
overall. He's 4.7% Gundogan.
Wow.
And he scored in back-to-back games. Started all 3. I think there was talk of if Bernardo Silva left, then he might be even more of an appealing asset. But I think Pep said today Silva's staying. In his interview, his press conference today. But there was no team news, by the way, apparently. Useless Pep. So yeah, I don't mind Gundogan. Luke Disable. He did a Man City prediction. He's got him predicted to start, so he could do well, especially given Man City's fixtures. I know they're coming into the fixture congestion, but you'd imagine Gundogan starts more than not. The other player I noted that with Harrison, he's still quite lowly owned at 3.5% overall. I think he should do great. He's returned in every game week so far. And Leeds have also got great fixtures. Brighton this week probably the toughest of them up until when most people are looking to wildcard around game week 8-9. And then I got Rashford. I got my Man United hat on here. I'm probably not going to go Man United players yet. One good performance I'm not sold yet. But Rashford's only 5.6% owned, and he's had 2 price drops to 6.3. So yeah, one to monitor. The United assets could prove good value at some point in the season. And the fourth player I had down was Tony, and he was big bandwagon, but I don't think he's that highly owned yet. Probably in the overall 18.8%. I don't know what it is among engaged managers, probably more, but he's returned in every game week so far, and he's got great fixtures. So yeah, out of those, Tony's probably the best going forward. Then maybe Gundogan and Harrison, and then Rashford is a mega punt right now, in my opinion.
Fair enough. The frustration I have with Rashford actually is that I had him for game week 1, and I just felt, playing as an out-and-out striker in that United team, and obviously, I just thought that Ten Hag would have some sort of like new manager bounce, and obviously didn't go well in the first 2 games, and obviously against Liverpool they became amazing. So by selling Martinelli. By selling Rashford and getting Martinelli in, it was effectively like a -4 for me.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the right move on paper.
Yeah. And but at the same time, hey, I was able to unlock 0.5 million, which I'm now using. I feel that Rashford will come good purely because United need him to come good. I feel that style of play might interest him, and he might benefit from it. But also, it's a World Cup year. Well, I say World Cup year. It's just 3 months around the corner. So he really has to demonstrate that he can score more goals. I think that's his second goal since his only goal since the start of the year, right? So he needs to score more goals. Otherwise, he's not going on the plane to Qatar, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. Being a World Cup year, I suppose there's a few players who might step up given that. And I think Anthony Martial got ruled out earlier today, so I mean Rashford's definitely going to continue to play, surely.
Yeah.
He's only missed 5 minutes so far over the 3 games.
Exactly. And I guess just talking, you've got the United shirt hanging there around the corner. I've got to ask you like another United question here. Again, this is probably not an FPL one, but I'll just chuck it out there anyway. Do you feel that with United, and since Ferguson has left, and obviously all the chaos that has ensued since, that it's going to get worse before it gets better, or maybe with Ten Hag, it will now get better in the long haul? I just feel you've tried so many different managers, you've tried so many different systems, you've tried so many players, and it's like, Liverpool's wilderness years, like what was that, 3 decades worth of no top flight title. Do you feel that you're kind of in that? Well, if that was the case, you've still got 20 more years to go. But do you feel echoes of like the Liverpool of old, how United are at the moment?
Yeah, it's not pleasant, and I can a lot of friends when I was at uni all those years ago. There was the glory days, and now my friends from back then, they're all having the laugh right now. But yeah, I'm really not sure. I watched sort of Mark Goldbridge on United Stand. He's always ranting about United, but I think the consensus is we won't see real change until the Glazers go. I was watching something with Gary Neville as well, and he was saying the buck stops with the owners. Business is not performing, as in this case Manchester United. So yeah, I'm not sure. There was obviously, we lost the first 2 games, and there was the uproar, and it's sort of word that 5 players are coming in. We're going to get De Jong, Quaresma, Anthony, new keeper, another new striker. But then we win against Liverpool and it goes quiet again. So yeah, I don't think it's going to turn around until the Glazers go. But I think there was Sir Jim Ratcliffe said he'd buy the club, but obviously you can't buy it without the Glazers selling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're in for another X number of years of. I think Liverpool and City as well. They're so good. I know Liverpool have had a tough start to this season, but everything it's going to take another decade to catch up, probably.
Wow. And you talked about like other potential bidders, and I please correct me if I'm not having a false memory here. Was it Michael Knighton who tried buying the club like 30 years ago? What, 30 years ago, and then he tried making a bid recently as well. Have I got that right?
I haven't seen that one.
No. Have I don't know. I must have had some sort of false memory there, so apologies. But in fact, I can't edit undo that now.
What's his name?
Was it Michael Knighton? Am I making? I'm probably, no. I don't know what happened, but his name has sprung up, and I don't know. Someone. Oh, let me just have United. Let me just see. Am I making this up? Let me just check.
Just while you look at that quick claim.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. He did.
I'll pop in as
yeah.
sometimes do.
Michael Knighton. Here we go. Sorry. Apologies. Michael Knighton, confident United. Oh no, he's just saying he's confident set for new owner. Sorry. Sorry, I had a false memory there. Head case who wants to rid United. Who is? Well, why have I? Sorry, I've had a completely wrong one there. I've had a shocker there. I don't know why his name came in my mind. But yeah, forget the last minute. I don't know why, but his name came. I've forgotten. He said something recently. He wasn't bidding for the club. He said something, and it triggered something in my mind. But yeah, that was wrong. God, I can't. We're live. This is it's unfiltered, so I can't edit undo that. But it is what it is. Apologies. But yeah, you've said ultimately it will take potentially a decade of what's gone on with United, and
Wow.
yeah, Ten Hag might be your Gerard Houllier for all we know. Sorry for the comparison. It'll take a bit more time. Just apart from that, just bringing it back to FPL now. I feel that like this season, right? Well, not even this season. I feel that we often talk about FPL being a marathon, and when we think of it as a marathon, we almost look at it in the long haul. Do you feel that this season, more than the previous seasons, because we've got Wildcard 1, we've got the unlimited transfers during the after the World Cup, and then we've got Wildcard. We've got the second Wildcard then in the second half of the season. Do you think it's better that if we're rather than looking at it as one big lump stretching 38 game weeks, that we should really break the season down into like 4 quarters essentially?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that before at the start of the season, wasn't there? I think it's gone quiet the last couple, but yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, because in a normal season, we haven't had a normal season for a few seasons, but in a normal season, yeah, if you play your first wild card first, they say game week 4, which I used to play sort of game week 4 with the first international break quite often, and then you're probably not gonna. I usually wouldn't play my second wild card until the double game weeks come around, game week 30 plus. So it's a long time to go without no wild card. But obviously that's not the case this season with the unlimited transfers post World Cup. So yeah, you could possibly take the opportunity to be a bit more aggressive, knowing you've got it's never going to be too long until you've got your first wild card, or you've got the World Cup interlude where we're going to get unlimited transfers to correct any mistakes you make by taking some risks. So yeah, it could be a strategy. I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, taking risks, mind. But yeah, it's certainly something people should look at.
And sorry, Dan, I just want to track back to what I said about Michael Knighton, right? So apologies for tracking back, but this is what I think I was right. Michael Knighton calls on Sir Alex Ferguson to back his United takeover bid, claiming he has to act now to avoid allowing the willful destruction of club under the Glazers. The businessman wants Sir Alex Ferguson to let club change hands, and yeah, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is also interested. So I guess Michael Knighton is making this bid. That's what probably won't be successful, but yeah, that is happening. So I just thought it wasn't a false memory.
Yeah.
Ah, dear oh dear. So let me just have a look. Right, I'm coming to the end of my stream, I guess, because of my laptop being a bit glitchy. I guess, like from my perspective, there isn't like a one one-size-fits-all tip that we can really give everyone, because people are in different rank positions, people play the game differently, and they've got different objectives. But I guess I want to ask this, Dan, that for someone who's had a challenging start in the first few game weeks, what one piece of advice can you give them in order to get help them get back on track?
I think going back to what I said earlier, planning. Just plan your team for the next X number of weeks. Try not to take many hits. I probably only take maybe 4 hits over the whole season usually. Last season was different with every week felt like a double game week, so it was a bit more beneficial to take hits. But yeah, don't take too many hits. Plan your moves, so the fixture swings don't come as a surprise. If you've had a really bad start, don't be afraid to wild card. There's quite a lot of Tony is a player I'd love to jump on, but it's just not really feasible for my setup right now. Yeah, there are a lot of emerging good players, and why not hit it why not hit those purple patches for those players while some of the bigger name players aren't particularly proving their value. But yeah, I'm not sure. Feel free to drop me your team on Twitter and ask me your thoughts. I'll try and reply if people are really struggling. But yeah, don't panic. I mean, this week especially, all the big teams have got really nice home fixtures.
Yeah.
So if your team's packed full of good players playing home, try not to panic. But yeah, play your own game. Just be comfortable with your decisions. Like, don't make a decision based off what someone else said. Really, trust yourself. Try and enjoy it.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate that advice you've given. And yeah, it's quite difficult to give a one-size-fits-all piece of advice. And we all play the game differently, and we've all got different motivations as well. Apart from that, I guess just, I want to, firstly, for those who are listening on the YouTube stream, Dan mentioned his Twitter account, and that's Dan Bennett 3, that you can follow him on. So please be sure to follow him. In fact, I'll probably put it into the description as well for the YouTube stream. And apart from that, I just want to say, Dan, firstly, really greatly appreciated that you've joined the stream tonight, joined the space tonight as well, and that the first ever dual FPL space and FPL stream that you've joined me on there. I really can't stress how grateful I am that you've joined us on this occasion. And yeah, it's sorry for the technical gremlins as well.
Well done, Ash. That's a big achievement. That.
The space wasn't working last week, and then my laptop went into hard reboot mode. Today as well. And I'm also, you mentioned the Aronson news. I talked about how I reacted and reviewed your game. So I've automatically already given myself an A-, knowing that you brought him in. So I'm pleased that. I hope I didn't lay any seeds in your mind there, but
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I just wondering if you have you hit 200 subscribers yet? I think you might.
I haven't even checked actually. Do you know what I'm more keen on? I'm on 99.9k Twitter followers.
Yes, I saw that too.
And yeah, it's kind of like been static on that for like the past 2 or 3 days. So I guess everyone in the space is probably following me anyway. So there's not much else they can do. But yeah, I think I have gone over 200 followers. So yeah, if anyone hasn't subscribed to my YouTube channel, the link is in the space above. And yeah, we have gone over 200. Thank you so much for those that have joined. I will carry on doing FPL Hints live on YouTube. It's been a bit glitchy from the feedback I've got on Spaces, but it's because a lot of people haven't realized I've moved to YouTube that I had to do it simultaneously, and it's been good fun, to be honest with you. It's been a learning experience, because some people said who are more tech savvy than myself said you cannot do a YouTube stream and a Twitter space simultaneously, but we've managed to have done it. So it's been truly fantastic. Is there anything that you want to plug, Dan? I've just mentioned your Twitter account off the cuff. Feel free to plug anything that you wish.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ash. Look forward to chatting to you again in the season. Just I see Tom Campbell in the spaces. I'm doing a video with Tom for Fantasy Football Fix early next week, so look out for that video. Probably reviewing the season so far and this game week 4. So hopefully I'll be reporting on good points from Robertson for the first time this season. Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, be sure to check that out, everyone. My YouTube stream has now gone off because my laptop has conked out on me. But I think that's a fantastic way to end, actually. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Dan, it's been a privilege and an honour speaking to you, one of the highest ranked managers in the Elite 1000 Hall of Fame. And we've had the privilege to hear your insights on how you play the game and also your advice to us peasants. So, thank you so much. And apart from that, for everyone, be it for Game Week 4, 5 and beyond, may your arrows be green, may your mind be serene, take care and all the best, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care everyone, bye.
Good night, Ash.
Cheers Dan,
Thanks.
bye.